I grew up running on all fours. It changed the bone structure.
Do you swing on things inside, like when you go upstairs?
Oh, I never take the stairs. I usually take the curtains.
It began about 13 years ago with a sort of big Hollywood producer called Jerry Weintraub, who was obsessed with bringing this movie and this character to the screen. And Jerry eventually, after many iterations of trying to get it off the ground, brought it to David and I and said, guys, do you want to partner up on this and make this movie? And we fell in love with the script, and Jerry was kind of larger than life.
Definitely.
Fun. And he entrusted us with it, really, didn't he?
Yeah, which is great. Yeah.
He's a lovely man, and unfortunately he died about a year ago, so wasn't able to see it through to fruition. But I know if he can still see it, he'd be really excited about the film and pleased that we've finished it.
And it's a huge production. Obviously, it must have been a huge undertaking. Was it always? Did you really feel like it had to be on this kind of scale?
Yeah. Yes. There seemed to be little point in trying to make, David refers often to the Johnny Weissmuller films, kind of like B-movies, so action-adventure B-movies. And there was no point in trying to revisit that territory, really. It needed to be able to compete in the Saturday night marketplace. We've made a film, I think, that's got a political undertone too, so it's not just a Saturday night film, but... it needed to be big to tell. Africa's a big country, a big continent. So Congo's a big country, and it needed to be big.
So how did you come to get involved in this grand project?
Well, so I had been working in Gabon, in Central Africa, since 2001, for the best part of a decade. And I heard through the grapevine that Warner's were scouting a place to at least shoot backdrops for the film. And I grabbed the opportunity. We got up above the forest with David Yates, the director, and he saw these incredible landscapes that no one's ever seen before. Hollywood certainly had never had a look at Gabon. And there are particular formations, rock formations and waterfalls and black rivers full of tannin that reflect the sky that made David rush home and change the script.
Yeah. And obviously it's a huge undertaking, this film, so much going on. How was it to be involved in all this and finding a place in it?
For me, it's a dream come true. My CV is essentially useless for anyone in the world. I'm a bloke who's lived with 16 gorillas who spent 15 years recording music, the pygmies singing. So there are very few jobs that fit that criteria, unless you're David Yates making Tarzan based at the end of the 19th century, in which case I'm grossly overqualified. And David recognised that, which was a blessing for me. I had a blast on the whole thing.
My king's army is due in 6 days. All I've left to do is deliver Tarzan to Chief Bongo. I'm aware of his obsessive desire to kill your husband, but I've yet to discover the cause. What did Tarzan do?
Killed his only son.
Oh.
And get ready, because that is nothing compared to what he will do to you.
Your husband's wildness disturbs me more than I can easily express. Whereas your spirit... Lady Clayton's finished.
A normal man can do the impossible to save the woman he loves. My husband is no normal man.
And when it came to putting the cast together, I mean, how easy or difficult was that?
Wasn't too tricky, actually.
No.
Alex was a front runner right from the start. Loved his work on lots of independent movies, smaller independent movies. So he had a bit of a profile, but not a huge one. He wasn't a big star. Very tricky to cast a big star as Tarzan, because big stars bring their own profile, really. So you needed someone who was a bit known but not well known, and Alex had that quality. Good actor as well, really fine actor, Alex is. And then this amazing body, and he's got this wonderful verticality. Margot, there were a lot of women who could potentially play Jane, and we discussed a lot of them. I met a few of them. And by the time we managed to finally get the film to a green light position with the studio, Margot was just the obvious choice at that point. Christoph, we had to woo a little bit. You know, we had to sort of persuade him to come on board, and Adam and the writer and I would go to Berlin and Belgium to see him for lunch and to talk about how we could refine the character for him, and you know, in the best possible sense, he helped make that part of our movie work better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, so it was a relatively easy movie to cast. People were very keen to come on board.
I'm still coming with you.
You can't keep up.
I might not be able to keep up with Tarzan, but I sure as hell can keep up with you.
It is not wise. Falling behind means certain death.
Spent over half my life in the wilds. Besides, nobody here is better than me with a rifle.
How did you get involved in all this?
About 8 or 9 weeks ago, so I came into the project. I got to see an early edit, and the filmmakers reached out. I happened to be in LA at the time, and I had just finished up a tour. I'd been on the road for about 2 years, so I just finished up the kind of final tour commitments, and so ahead of me was this free time which I had not had for about 2 years to kind of, you know, to do anything like this. And so the filmmakers kind of reached out. I happened to be in the city, so I wasn't far from the studios. I was able to take an early look at the film, and the kind of, you know, we were discussing kind of contemporary song for the soundtrack, and albeit with a fairly short deadline, and I just kind of said, you know, I hadn't been able to kind of write a song in that regard, and it was the first time doing it in that way, but also kind of write for a project like this, you know, beginning to end, and go into studio quickly. I hadn't been in studio for a while, so I was eager for the challenge, and you know, I said if I had a demo together in about a week, we'd be on track.
How was it? Did you enjoy it? Because obviously, you know, you've done one record and it's probably been gestating for a long time, rather than someone says you got a week.
Yeah.
To go.
Yeah. It was. So it was. I mean, some songs can happen in a day or two. Some songs can take a year. I have to say, like, the deadline was kind of an interesting thing. I think sometimes the difference between an idea and a song is a deadline, and so it was a learning experience, an interesting kind of way of doing it. Not the way I would do it all the time or have done it, or, you know, would seek to do all the time. But, you know, it's nice. It was really, really kind of exciting challenge. Yeah.